Very good. Congratulations. Good. I'd like to just spend a couple of minutes looking at a few things. I find that your general sound quality is very good. The basic technique is also very good. Beautiful bow hand, and the quality of the sound is good. Your usage of the bow is sometimes a little bit surprising to me. And by surprising, I mean that I'm quite often shocked when I'm listening to what comes out. The difficulty with Bach are exactly these things that I'm talking about. In fact, I have a real mental block when it comes to Bach. I think that it's the most difficult thing that we can ever play, especially as violists, because there are all sorts of issues. Violins speak differently, they sound differently. The cello is simply easier to play as far as these kinds of things are concerned. We have a whole lot of issues and problems that face us when we try to do this thing. And my personal opinion is that it's way too difficult for students. And I'm not talking personally to you, I'm just talking to students as a mass worldwide body. I also had to practice all of the sonatas and partitas when I was doing a degree on violin in Australia. And to this day, I wonder what the point was, because it's like learning to run before you can walk, but not just to run, but to run like an absolute athlete before you can even walk from the living room to the kitchen. It's kind of bizarre. But the number of institutions around the world that insist on it is very strange. You've got a wonderful technique, you're very musical, there's no problems here. I'd like to ask you if you can play it for me again and be particularly conscious of the line that you're making, conscious of how the little notes that you play, regardless of how little they are, whether they're longer, this sort of thing is less obvious to me. These kinds of little flourishes, the little decorations that they put on, that Bach puts on the ends of little phrases there, are very often with you suddenly very active. And you've created a beautiful line that might last 2 or 3 bars, and then suddenly there'll be something that makes me go, oh. And I'd like the whole thing to be a smooth process. And if you can just think of that one time for me now. Don't worry about anything else. We're just seeing if you can make the line as comfortable for me to listen to as possible. And just remember, I don't like surprises. I just want it to be, it's a beautiful line and you're really close to the mark. All you have to do is calm down a few things. Don't use sudden fast bows if you can avoid it. Make everything as smooth and as logical as you can, all right? Okay, good. It was very good. It was very good. This is just one little example of what I'm talking about. The beam, beam, palm, for example, this open D here. I know you've got, sorry, I don't want to touch it. I know that you've got to prepare yourself for the chord, and you need to be at the frog, but this open D sticks out very, very strongly. A couple of other things that if something does develop, if you find that you're using more bow, then you need to see it through. You have a tendency a little bit to pull a punch. You start and you think, okay, the intensity is going to build, but then it drops and falls away. And then I think to myself, well, maybe that beginning of an intense sort of creation was not really what you intended to do, because you fall away from it. So I'm wondering how much is accidental and how much is actually musical concept. Maybe we'll start from somewhere, just from the beginning of the second line there. Yeah. Very good. All right. So in fact, your target is this chord that you just played now. So that means that you need to make sure that everything you do in the preparation up until that point is logical. You're doing a scordatura version? No, you're not. And never. That would be my target point. And the first beat of the bar is really the heaviest point of the phrase. Actually, the entire beginning up until here should be one breath. If you could be a singer, a great singer, there are no great singers who could sing this so slowly in one breath. No great flute players or clarinetists either, but people who deal with wind rather than movement when they're playing, pianists have nothing, it's percussive. We have at least some movement that we can control, but it's with bizarre equipment. And things get in the way, technical problems. There's only two directions, down and up, and we've got to make sure that we're always in the right place to support the phrase that we want to create musically. And you're doing a very good job of that, but I'd like it just to be a little bit more solid, your concept that there are no movements that don't fit into your scheme of exactly how you want to play this phrase. Try one more time for me. I'm going to interrupt you one or two more times, just from the beginning, and see whether we can get this feeling of long distance phrasing right up to the end of the first part. Good. Can I just ask you to connect all of that a little bit more? I know that the way this... I really should get my other glasses out. It would help a lot, but... If you die too much there, and then you start again, then it's slightly asthmatic. I'm not asking you not to make any rests. You can start new, but don't lose the fact that you've already started a long-term phrase. For me, it kind of died at the end of the second note. And I'm asking for you to get right to the end of the second line without a relaxation in the line. Okay, so if you can take breaks, if you want to play then you can do that, but you need to carry the tension through that break rather than just stopping. Okay, because that interrupts the line, which is what we want to avoid. One more time. Very good. I like the until you got to the last one.
Yeah, that kind of...
Exactly. Yeah. Too much bow. It's exactly what I'm talking about. You need to listen very carefully to what you're building. And you're building a phrase. That's what we're doing here. And if you build a phrase, and it was a beautiful build-up, and then suddenly there's this as a listener, I'd be going, because you do something that's not quite right there in the middle. One more time. Think of it as from the point of view of a singer. If you were to sing this, it's impossible. There's too many double stops and everything. You're not quite sure which line is the theme anyway. But if you were to sing it, you would never stop in the middle and take a breath and then start again. And you'd always try to find that line. It's a natural thing. I sing all the time. I'm a terrible singer and nobody ever hears me do it. I only ever do it when I'm alone at home, but it's so good for you. It is so good because you can't make musical errors when you're singing. And that's something that's a human trait all over the world. And it starts very young. If you listen to a small child, I'm a father, I have 2 daughters. When I was practicing and they were really, really little, I'd stop practicing and go and eat dinner or something like that. And my younger daughter would be singing the piece that I'd just been practicing. And she was 2 and sang it so beautifully. Not because she heard me play it so beautifully, but because children phrase naturally. They don't put holes in the middle of a line that they're singing. It could be a simple nursery rhyme that they learnt at kindergarten, and they will sing it naturally and musically. As soon as you hit the age of about 7 or 8, we start getting in the way of ourselves, and then all sorts of problems start to happen. Simplicity. Try for me now to make it as smooth as you possibly can. Okay, Cameron, it's really very much better. In a short session like this, I can't go into great detail about how you technically managed to do this, but what you achieved just now is great, because there are many fewer surprises for me. I'm really following your line. This time it came across as a little bit tentative and a little bit shy, because you're trying very hard not to put things in that are going to upset me or surprise me. But the fact that you've learned this possibility to create long distance phrase and to support your line means that you'll get a lot more confidence when you're playing about the musical little properties that you want to build into your playing. They will sound more natural and more beautiful if they have a really good basis of control. And that's what you've just shown me that you can do very, very well. So think about that. Do you record yourself when you're playing? A lot? Yeah, okay, it's so good now. Everyone's got one of these in their pocket and you can just do it. And be very critical. You came late to the session, it doesn't matter. I told a story at the beginning that back in 87 when I started studying in Vienna, my teacher bought a video camera, and it was one of these huge things, and taped me doing a second movement of a Starmetz concerto, and then played it back to me the next week at my lesson, but with no sound. I was very excited to see myself on TV. I said, "Turn the volume up." And he said, "No, I'm not going to do that." And I saw, and I was ashamed. I said, "What am I doing? I was using so much bow." Where he said, "You know what that's supposed to sound like. Why are you using so much bow?" I said, "I couldn't believe it. What am I doing?" You can do that every day now because it costs nothing and you can have it in 10 seconds. Be very critical. Look at what you've recorded. If you don't like something, fix it. Very often we're not looking at the little details, we're looking at basically, is it in tune, is it in time? Look at phrasing. Make sure that your bow mirrors your concept. You're a musical person, you don't have a problem with the concept. We have technical issues that get in the way.